Hello, my favorite English language learners. It is your favorite English teacher here, Amy Joy, and in today's video, I am going to help you sound more like a native speaker and also be able to understand fast American English with 5 pronunciation rules. Now, before we get into the rules, I want to say that if you do not follow these rules, that is okay. It is not wrong, but many students say that they want to sound more native-like, so these are some rules that can help you achieve that. So by the end of this video, you should feel more confident when speaking English and also more confident when understanding. So let's get started. Our first 3 rules are all related to connected speech, sometimes called linking. And our first rule that we will look at is connecting consonants to consonants. So, if a word ends with the same consonant sound that the next word begins with, you will connect those sounds. For example, is school the best way to learn a language? Is school, is school. Is ends with an S, and school begins with an S. So we are not going to release the S sound. We do not say, is school the best way to learn a language? We say, is school the best way to learn a language? Do you have a real life story to answer this question? Real life story, real life story. Real life story. Real ends with an L and life begins with an L. So we are going to connect those sounds. Real life, real life, real life story. What tricks do you have to improve your English? What tricks? What tricks? Not what tricks. What tricks? Connecting the T on what to the T on tricks. And your recommendations might help others. Your recommendations, connecting both of the R's, your recommendations, not your recommendations. So rule number 1, connect similar consonant sounds together when one word ends with that consonant and the next word begins with that consonant sound. Rule number 2, so when we have 2 vowels, we are going to insert a little y or w. We insert a y sound when the first word ends with E, I, or A. And we insert a w sound when the first word ends with a rounded vowel, like O, ow, and oo. Let's look at some examples. Sometimes students come to my office for help. My office, my office. My ends with an I sound, so we're going to insert the y. My office, my office. They usually want to improve their way of pronouncing certain words, or they might want to go over their assignments. We have a lot of connecting vowels in this sentence. They ends with an A sound, so we're going to insert a little y. They usually want to improve. The word to ends with an oo sound, so we're going to insert a little w. They want to improve. Their way of pronouncing, their way of pronouncing. Way ends with an A sound, so we're going to insert a little y, way of. Or they might want to go over their assignments. Go over. The word go ends with an O sound, so we're going to insert a little W. Go over their assignments. But sometimes they also just come to chat and ask how I'm doing. They also. They ends with an A, and then we're going to insert a little y before the also. They also. Just come to chat and ask how I'm doing. How I. Insert a little W between those 2 words. How I'm doing. They have no idea that their teacher loves talking to them. They have no idea No idea. No idea. Insert a little W. No idea. So I usually end up talking to them for a really long time. This sentence has a lot of connections between vowels. So why? So why? So ends with an O, and then we go to the I, and we insert a little W. So why? Then we go from the I sound and we have to insert a little ya. So why usually? So why usually? And then we connect the Y to the E sound. So why usually end? So I usually end up. So I usually end up. So I usually end up talking to them for a really long time. So that is rule number 2, connecting vowels with glide sounds like ya and wa. And before moving on to rule number 3, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel so that YouTube will send my videos to even more students. I really appreciate it. Okay, and rule number 3 is linking consonants to vowel sounds. I think this is the most common rule for connected speech. Notice what I just said. This is, connecting the S to the I. I think this is the most common rule for connected speech. At least it's the rule that I can think of the most examples for. Here we have 4 instances of connected speech. At least it's, connecting the T to the I. That I, again connecting the T to the I. Think of, connecting the K to the O sound. Think of. Most examples, connecting the T to the E. I think this is because a lot of times words will connect with prepositions, which include words like on, at, in, off, and of. For example, I have time off work, figure it out, and depend on. So let's go back and look at all of these connections. A lot of times, connecting the T to the O. Which include, connecting the ch to the I. Which include. And of, connecting the D to the O. And of. For example, connecting the R to the E. For example, time off, connecting the M to the O. Time off. Figure it out, connecting the R to the I and then the T to the ow. Figure it out. And then depend on, connecting the D to the O. So that's rule number 3. And rule number 4, delete the H sound off of pronouns like he, her, and him in the middle of a sentence. It's very important that you only delete the sounds in the middle of a sentence because we do keep the H sound if you begin a sentence with one of these pronouns. So let's take a look at a few examples. I had a student once and he asked me for a letter of recommendation. Andy. I didn't say, and he asked. I said, Andy asked. Oh, and notice he asked, inserting the ya between he and asked. I had a student once and he asked me for a letter of recommendation, but he was a terrible student. Notice we delete the H and then we can use connected speech from rule number 3 to connect the T to the E sound. Buddy was a terrible student. He never did his work, turned in things late, and didn't try to improve his English. So I told him no. Notice in this sentence, we do pronounce the H sound on the first he because it begins the sentence. He never did his work. But we delete the H sound in the middle of the sentence. He never did his work. Turned things in late and didn't try to improve his English. Improve is. We are deleting the H sound and then connecting the V to the I. Improve his English. So I told him no. I delete the H sound in the word him and I connect the D to the I. I told him. I told him no. However, my student Kathy was wonderful, and when she asked me to write her a letter, I said yes. Notice here we delete the H sound on her, and we will connect the T to the E. Writer, writer, write her a letter. She asked me to write her a letter. So that is rule number 4. Delete the H sound on pronouns like he, him, and her in the middle of a sentence. Okay, and rule number 5, oftentimes Americans delete the T sound after an N and before a vowel sound. Let's take a look at this example. International students use many resources on the internet to improve their English. There are plenty of options to choose from, and some have many advantages, but sometimes they are not good and students get disappointed. Here we have so many words like international, international, and the word internet, internet. The word plenty, plenty, plenty. We see the word advantages, 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 and the word disappointed, disappointed, disappointed. Now, I want to highlight that all of the rules above are things that native speakers naturally do. No native speaker knows these rules. I only know it because I studied linguistics. So I want to say that if you don't follow these rules, you will still be understood. It is not wrong to say international or internet. That is just not how many Americans speak. So I encourage you to use these rules in your pronunciation if you want to. And I hope this also builds your confidence when listening to native speakers, because we do follow these rules even though we don't know about them. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you like it and subscribe to my channel so the YouTube algorithm will send my videos to even more students. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you next time. Bye.